Let me ask you something uncomfortable. If building wealth required you to give up almost everything you enjoy right now, would you still do it? Because here's what most people don't realize. Wealth isn't a reward for being smart or lucky. It's the result of a series of calculated sacrifices that 99% of people refuse to make. And today, I'm breaking down exactly what those sacrifices are. Over the next 16 minutes, we're going to talk about the real price of financial freedom, not the motivational poster version, the actual, sometimes brutal reality. Some of these will make you uncomfortable. One of them might even make you angry. But if you can accept all 7, you'll understand exactly what separates the wealthy from everyone else. And real quick, if you get value from this, smash that like button. It genuinely helps more people discover this kind of content. Now let's get into it. Sacrifice number 1, your current identity. Here's the hard truth. The person you are right now created the financial situation you're in right now. If you want different results, you need to become a different person. Think of yourself like software. You're currently running version 1.0, the version that hits snooze 5 times, makes excuses when things get hard, and spends money to feel better after a rough day. To build wealth, you need to update to version 2.0. And that update is painful because it requires deleting parts of your code that you've been running for years. The biggest part of your old identity you'll need to sacrifice. Excuses. Wealthy people don't make excuses, they make solutions. Poor and middle-class people explain why something didn't work. Wealthy people figure out how to make it work anyway. This isn't about being harsh on yourself. It's about taking radical responsibility for your outcomes. What's the biggest excuse you've been holding on to? Drop it in the comments. Sometimes just naming it takes away its power. All right, sacrifice number 2, your free time. Specifically, the time you currently spend on entertainment. Now, I'm not saying you can never relax, but here's the reality. Every hour you spend watching Netflix or scrolling TikTok is an hour you're not spending learning skills, building side income, or positioning yourself for wealth. Let's do the math. If you spend 4 hours a day on entertainment, which honestly isn't that much by today's standards, that's 28 hours a week. Over a year, that's 1,456 hours. That's the equivalent of 182 full work days, or roughly 9 months of full-time work. Think about that. 9 months of your life, every single year, consumed by content that makes you no money. Now imagine if you redirected just half of that time, 2 hours a day, into a skill like copywriting, video editing, coding, or sales. In 1 year, that's 728 hours of focused practice. According to research, it takes roughly 10,000 hours to master something, but you can become highly competent in most skills with just 500 to 1,000 hours. That means in a single year, with just 2 hours a day, you could become skilled enough to monetize it. The first few years of building wealth require obsessive focus. You're essentially in a race against time and compound interest. The earlier you start, the more time your money has to grow. But you can't compress time. You can only maximize the hours you have. That means sacrificing shows, games, and endless scrolling. Not forever, but for the critical building years. Sacrifice number 3, your social circle. This is where it gets emotionally difficult. You're going to have to distance yourself from people you care about if they're not aligned with your goals. I know that sounds cold, but here's why it matters. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your 5 closest people are broke, unmotivated, or negative about money, you're fighting an uphill battle. Let me give you a real example. There was a woman who tracked her time for a month and realized she spent 10 hours every week on social obligations, birthday parties, happy hours, brunches, with people she called friends but who weren't actually adding value to her life. That's 520 hours a year. She made a tough decision. She cut out 80% of those invites. People called her selfish. Friends stopped reaching out. But she redirected that time into building an online business. 5 years later, she's making $250,000 a year with complete schedule freedom. Her old friends, still meeting for the same happy hours, still complaining about money. You're not abandoning people, you're prioritizing your future. And here's what happens. Once you reach a certain level of success, you'll attract a new circle, a circle of people who are building, growing, and pushing forward. But you can't enter that circle while you're still clinging to the old one. This also means sacrificing the need to be liked. Building wealth often means making unpopular decisions, saying no, setting boundaries. Not everyone will understand, and that's okay. Sacrifice number 4, comfort and lifestyle inflation. Here's a pattern most people fall into. They get a raise, so they upgrade their apartment. They get a promotion, so they buy a nicer car. They have a good month, so they splurge on a vacation. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it's the number one reason people stay broke despite earning good money. To build wealth, you need to do the opposite. When you get a raise, your lifestyle should stay exactly the same. The difference between your old income and new income, that gets invested. This is uncomfortable because we're wired to seek comfort. We want the nice apartment, the good food, the convenient life. But here's the truth. Comfort is expensive and it compounds against you. Every dollar spent on comfort today is a dollar that can't compound into wealth tomorrow. Let's talk specifics. Convenience spending, food delivery fees, subscription services you forgot about, upgraded shipping. These feel small, but they add up to thousands per year. A $15 meal becomes $25 with delivery fees and tip. Do that 3 times a week, and you're spending $3,900 a year just on the convenience of not cooking. That money, invested at 8% annual return for 20 years, becomes $18,000. You paid $18,000 for the convenience of not cooking. Then there's status spending. This is the most destructive form of comfort. Buying things not because you need them, but because you want to look successful. Designer clothes, new cars, expensive dinners you post on Instagram. You're spending money you don't have to impress people who don't care. Real wealthy people, they drive paid-off Hondas and wear clothes without logos. They sacrifice looking rich to become rich. And here's the twist. Once they actually become wealthy, they still don't care about that stuff because they've realized it doesn't matter. Sacrifice number 5. The illusion of job security. Most people think having a job is safe. It's predictable income, benefits, stability. But that security is an illusion. You're one company decision away from unemployment, one automation initiative, one budget cut. And when that happens, your income doesn't just decrease. It goes to 0, immediately. The secure paycheck isn't secure at all. It's a capped ceiling with an unstable foundation. Meanwhile, entrepreneurship feels risky. No guaranteed paycheck. No benefits. Total responsibility. But here's what people miss. As an employee, you have the security of limitation. You know exactly how much you'll make, and it's never enough for true wealth. As an entrepreneur, you have temporary instability followed by unlimited upside. The employee trades their entire life for predictable scarcity. The entrepreneur trades a few years of uncertainty for decades of abundance, which is actually riskier. I know someone who worked corporate for 12 years making $75,000 a year. She felt safe. Then the company restructured and she was out. Took her 8 months to find another similar role. Meanwhile, her friend who started a consulting business had rough patches, months where income was low. But by year 3, she was making $180,000 annually with complete control over her time. Who had real security? Sacrifice number 6. Short-term gratification. Most people operate on a 30-day cycle. What will I buy this month? What vacation can I take this summer? What feels good right now? Wealthy people think in decades. They plant seeds today that won't bear fruit for 10, 20, even 30 years. And they're okay with that. This is the opposite of how most people are wired. We want immediate results, immediate pleasure, immediate validation. Real wealth is boring. It's investing the same amount every month for 30 years in index funds. It's living below your means consistently. It's saying no to purchases that would feel good today because you're focused on freedom 20 years from now. There's no excitement, no lottery wins, no viral success, just patient, consistent decisions compounding over time. And that's exactly why most people won't do it, because it's not exciting enough. Here's the shift. Stop chasing quick wins. Stop looking for the shortcut, the hack, the overnight success. It doesn't exist, and searching for it wastes years. Instead, commit to the long game. Pick 1 or 2 wealth-building strategies, whether it's building a business, investing consistently, or developing high-income skills, and commit to them for a decade. Not a month, not a year, a decade. That commitment alone puts you in the top 5% because most people won't even think that far ahead. Sacrifice number 7, comparison. This is the final and possibly the most damaging sacrifice. You're probably doing this right now, comparing your life to others. Your friend who travels constantly, your co-worker with the new car, the influencer with the perfect life. And that comparison makes you spend money to keep up. But here's what you don't see: the debt behind the Instagram post, the stress behind the smile, the credit card statement behind the vacation photo. A study found that people spend an average of 32% more when they're regularly exposed to social media, showcasing luxury lifestyles. You see something, you want it, you buy it, even if you can't afford it. This creates a cycle where you're always trying to catch up to a fake reality. The person you're comparing yourself to might be in debt. They might be stressed. They might be miserable. You literally have no idea. And you're destroying your financial future trying to match their highlight reel. The only comparison that matters is comparing yourself to yourself. Are you better than you were last year? Are you making smarter financial decisions? Are you closer to your goals? That's it. Everyone else's journey is irrelevant. Their timeline, their resources, their circumstances, completely different from yours. You need to get comfortable with the fact that your wealth-building journey might look boring from the outside. Old car, small apartment, cooking at home, no exotic vacations. And that's exactly what success looks like in the building phase. So let's bring this together. These 7 sacrifices: your identity, your free time, your social circle, your comfort, job security, instant gratification, and comparison. These are the actual price of wealth. Not motivation, not luck, not being born rich. Sacrifice. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people will read this list and decide it's not worth it. They'll choose the comfort of today over the freedom of tomorrow. And that's fine. That's their choice. But for the small percentage who commit, who decide that temporary sacrifice is worth permanent freedom, everything changes. Not overnight, not next month. But in 5, 10, 15 years, those sacrifices compound into a life that most people can't even imagine. A life where money isn't a source of stress, where you have time freedom, where you make decisions based on what you want, not what you can afford, where you can provide for your family without anxiety. That life is possible. But it requires this season of sacrifice. The pain of sacrifice is temporary. It fades as you grow. But the pain of regret, that's permanent. It's lying awake at 50, thinking, what if I had just committed? What if I had sacrificed those few years? That regret never goes away. So ask yourself, which pain do you choose? The temporary pain of sacrifice or the permanent pain of regret? You can't build a mansion on a foundation meant for a shed. Your current habits, beliefs, and lifestyle are the foundation. And if you want a wealthier life, You need to rebuild that foundation. That's what these sacrifices are. Not loss, but reconstruction. You're not giving things up. You're trading them for something infinitely better. So here's my question for you. Are you willing to pay the price? Not in theory. Not someday. Right now. Are you willing to sacrifice comfort, time, and convenience for the next 5 to 10 years to build a life of permanent abundance? If the answer is yes, drop a comment below saying I'm all in. And if you want to go deeper on building wealth habits, check out the video on screen. It breaks down the daily routines that make these sacrifices actually sustainable. Hit subscribe if this helped. I'll see you in the next one. Now go build something.